Abdulla Jaffer Lakhpati is a fascinating 20th century example of a Shia Ismaili Muslim who devoted his life to voluntary service. Widely known as Major Lakhpati, he was one of the founding members of the uniformed Ismaili Volunteers when it was established in Bombay, India in 1919. The members of a literary group called the Vidya Vinod Club created a formal organization called His Highness the Aga Khan's Bombay Volunteer Corps. The president of the Vidya Vinod Club was Pir Muhammad Madani, who came to be known as Lieutenant Colonel Madani. He, alongside Major Lakhpati and several others, founded the uniformed Ismaili Volunteers. Major Lakhpati was also a poet, an artist, and a scholar. His entire life exemplifies the notions of loyalty and service to the Jamat, to the Imamat, and to wider society.
In Major Lakhpati, we have a literary scholar. So Major Lakhpati would go and deliver a talk on Islam, but then we know that Major Lakhpati was also a very good painter. He's painted many beautiful images of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. He was a great poet, and he wrote a lot of poetry using his pet name Abd, which literally means servant. We also know that he was a dedicated murid of the Imam of the time, who served selflessly for entire life till he passed away in April 1947.
Amin Lakhpati is a member of the Singapore Ismaili Volunteers and is also the grandson of Major Lakhpati. Although he never knew his grandfather, he was inspired by his example of service.
When I was young, I was inspired by the stories told to me not only by my parents, but also from the people I met in Jamat about my grandfather, Major Abdulla Lakhpati. He had served the Ismaili community and worked alongside Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah until his last breath. Learning about his dedications and how he helped so many Ismailis made me want to continue to serve the Jamaat. Whenever Sultan Muhammad Shah visited any part of India for Didar, Major Lakhpati was always present at his service carrying a green parasol.
In 1929, Major Lakhpati falls ill and he is required blood transfusion. Now, in 1929, it was not very common. Hardly anybody had heard of blood transfusion. So there were very few people who were willing to even give blood because this was seen as a scary thing to do. But volunteers come forward, and there are multiple volunteers who come forward who are willing to give their blood so that Major Lakhpati can recover fast.
Despite his health struggles, he continued to serve and to write poetry in praise of the Imam. He composed geets in commemoration of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's Golden Jubilee, marking his 50th year of Imamat in 1935. During the Jubilee ceremonies, the Imam was weighed against gold, which was offered to him by the community as a gift. The Imam returned these funds to the community by building institutions for improving their long-term quality of life. The following is a sample of one of Major Lakhpati's Golden Jubilee geets, which are among the earliest known Ismaili audio recordings.
घड़ी सुल्तान का और सुल्तान के जाने का
10 years later, Major Lakhpati continued to face poor health. He wrote of his longing to witness the Diamond Jubilee of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, marking 60 years of Imamat.
I will say and recite one verse of my favorite poem, which he talks about his yearning to live up to Diamond Jubilee. E Malekul Maut, che Allah no sogantane. E Malekul Maut, che Allah no sogantane. Joy laum na ત્યાં સુધી આવીસમાં મારા કને. જોઈ લઉં ના ત્યાં સુધી આવીસમાં મારા કને. એમ તો ના જિંદગીની લેસ છે પરવા મને. એમ તો ના જિંદગીની લેસ છે પરવા મને. છે અગર પરવા તો બસ જીવનમાં ही એવું બને. अब હું સરતાજની ડાયમંડ જુબલી જોઈ લઉં. अब હું સરતાજની ડાયમંડ જુબલી જોઈ લઉં. ફાતમી તુજ રાજ્ય ધ્વજ લાલ લીલી જોઈ લઉં. ફાતમી તુજ રાજ્ય ધ્વજ લાલ લીલી જોઈ લઉં. લાલ લીલી જોઈ લઉં.
Major Lakhpati did indeed live to see the Diamond Jubilee. In fact, he traveled to East Africa for the Diamond Jubilee celebrations held in Dar es Salaam. He documented his journey through a poetic travelogue. A handwritten manuscript has been donated by his family to the Aga Khan Library in London.
You see that the cover has been designed by him. He draws the cover himself and he writes this poem in his own handwriting. And you can see that he's taken special efforts to write this in a manner that can be just duplicated for publication. He talks about the kind of arrangements that African Jamat had made for the visitors from around the world. He also talks about, interestingly, the volunteers who served at the event. We know that he was a fine poet, but being able to narrate the whole experience in poetry is amazing. And he says, Lieutenanto, Captaino, Colonel ane sahu Majoro. Lieutenanto, Captaino, Colonelo ane sahu Majoro. Guides, Ladies Corps, Scoutso, Sainyana sahu Soldierro. Cub, Bluebird, Band Major, Sarva Music Playero, Jan Puri Jashnama, Swabhog Apio Chekaro, Karya Siddhi Karne, Pratham Discipline Joiye, Punctual Duty ane Order ne Adhin Joiye. I'm not sure if this manuscript ever got published because this was written in late 1946 and in April 1947 he passes away.
A souvenir book published in 1954 to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the Bombay Volunteers offers a tribute to Major Lakhpati. It demonstrates his importance to his fellow volunteers, saying, quote, "He was the palpitating heart of the volunteer corps. By his death, such a void is created that it shall never be replaced." Unquote. Major Abdulla Jaffer Lakhpati is an inspiring example of the dedicated service offered by members of the Ismaili Volunteers to the Jamat, the Imamat, and to wider society.